Suzette Allen, thank you for purchasing my Storyboard Designer series. This is a set of actions that will help you make gorgeous storyboards, and it makes it so easy, and there's no math involved. As you can see, here's a few samples. We've got 4 and a square, and we've got an L-shaped design. We have a grid of, 5 by 5, 25 images and strips. Let me show you how easy this is. This is great. So right over here, see this strip on the packaging? This shows you all the layouts that are possible. Now this is showing you on a square, but all of these shapes can be made any size, any orientation, any shape you would like. Let's take a look at this. Okay, let's first take a look at the actions. First of all, there is a folder of actions called base pages. This is really handy. That'll help you do your base page layouts for a lot of album pages, and it also puts in the guides and everything for you. I'll show you that here in a second. And then we have Storyboard CS3 and Plus. That means CS3, 4, 5, whatever versions come later, in 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and 2 pixel. Then, and these say clip on them. So clip is for clipping mask, and the ones with nothing on them, those are for paste into. So make sure that you're choosing the right ones. They should all start with Storyboard. I know some of the video says Divisions. That was the old name, but now they're called Storyboard. So first, let's take a look at these base pages. So when you make an album, this is actually an amazing tool for helping you with albums. A typical album page would be 5 by 7. Now, I normally lay out pages in a 2-page panorama just so they look good. So I have a 5 by 7 and a 10 by 7. A 10 by 7 is 2 pages stuck together. Then a horizontal 7 by 5 and 14 by 5. That's a 2-page panorama. A 9 by 9. That's a typical size for Renaissance the book. And we have an 18 by 9. And of course your typical 10 by 10 and a 20 by 10. But let's just play one of these. If I play this action, it's a 20 by 10. Look at that. It makes the 20 by 10. It gives me a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Gives me a halfway guide right where it's going to fold. And occasionally some of these layouts actually have a guide going halfway this way. But the other thing every one of these page layouts has is a black layer. If I turn that on, I instantly have a black background. And when I'm laying out album pages, especially for weddings, lots of times I want a black background or a white background. So this saves me one more step. The layer's already there. I just need to turn it on if I want it. So we have our typical page sizes. 10 by 13 is a common album size, 11 by 14, and the panorama, the 11 by 14 vertical and horizontal, and then a 12 by 12 and a 24 by 12. Of course, you can make your own page, whatever you like, but this is a little benefit to have these, and they're already done for you. Okay, first of all, I want to show you how they work. I'm just going to open up a simple 10 by 10, and let's say I want to do a layout here with 4 images with 2 across and 2 up, just a grid. So you basically take your document, and I always put at least a 1/2 inch guide all the way around the edges, and I want to put all 4 of them in the center. So here's what you do for any of these actions. On your document, make sure you make a blank layer first. Then you're going to make a selection of the shape you want to fill with the placeholders. Then you go Edit, Fill, and I usually do like black or something dark, not necessarily white because it's hard to see white on the checkerboard. So use black or a dark color, and make sure Preserve Transparency is unchecked. That way it'll actually fill. And I say, okay, so I've filled the block. My marching ants are still marching. You definitely need to leave the ants marching. So keep the selection going. Now I have to decide what I would like. I'm going to go to my actions, and here I have my divisions. I have divisions CS3 and above, so this will work in CS4, CS5, whatever. And I have 1/2 inch clip, 1/4 inch clip, 1/8 inch, and 2 pixel clip. Now clip means it's for the clipping mask. I also have the paste into style, which I'll show later. The clipping mask one's probably the one you're going to use the most. And then you just need to decide, do I want 1/2 inch between, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, or 2 pixels in between. Since this is a 10 by 10, let's do 1/4 inch. So I'm going to choose the 1/4 inch set and open it up. Then I have to decide what layout I want. So here I have 2 horizontal with 1/4 inch spaces, which would be 2 side by side. But I want 2 by 2. So we've got horizontals and we've got some verticals. And here we go. 2 across, 2 down, 2 across, 3 down. Let's do this one. 2 across and 2 down. So I just choose that and I hit play. It'll take that block, chop it up into 4 pieces with 1/4 inch spaces, just like that. So if you take a look at the layer palette, see it says row 1, clip 1, row 1, clip 2, and then let's open up this group, row 2, clip 1, row 2, clip 2. So very easy to do. Then you can just use the clipping mask to clip the images in. Any of these work exactly the same, and I'll show you how to do clipping mask here in a second. So let me throw those away, and let's do that same one again. But let's say I have a picture there, and I want to do 4 long skinny horizontals. I still want the same layout, but I just want it at the top and they're all horizontals. I can still play this. Now make sure you make a blank layer, fill it with your color, leave the marching ants going, and then hit play. And see, it chopped up that block in exactly the same way with 1/4 inch borders, just like you said, but because it was a longer shape, they ended up being different. They're longer ratio of size. So a square shape will make 4 squares. So anyway, sometimes you need to experiment with which ones you want to use based on the original shape of the area you want to fill. So let's just take this image. We got a great picture of Jason here, and what I want is to take 3 images across the top and fill in the sky part. Now the original image was only this tall, but I did a little gradient to feather off the top, and I made the background blue. And then I put these edges around to make it kind of grungy. And what I want is to use my other pictures. And, 3 across the top would be great. Now, I don't really care if they're squares or rectangles or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I just want to fill that space. So I'm going to choose my marquee, and I'm going to make a shape right about there. I don't want to crowd his head too much. Right about there would look good. And of course I want to keep it within my borders, at least a 1/2 inch away. Remember, if you're going to frame anything, that covers a 1/4 inch. So you want at least a 1/4 inch between your floating images and the edge of the image. So definitely go for a 1/2 inch or more. Now, after I've made my selection, I'm going to make a blank layer and I'm going to fill it with a color. And then I'm going to play, I want 3 across. So I think instead of a 1/4 inch, let's choose an 1/8 of an inch. There we go. Put them a little bit closer. And I want 3 horizontal right there. So I'm going to hit play. It's going to chop it up for me. There you go. That's perfect. I'm going to deselect. So now I have 3 little placeholders to put my images into. So let me show you how to do this with the clipping mask. So I'm going to choose, let's see, this one for the left hand and this one for the right hand, and how about this one in the middle? Sound good? So let's start with the middle one. On my template, I am going to use the Move tool, and I always have Auto Select Layer checked. So you check the box Auto Select and choose Layer. That way, any layer you click on, it'll select it. See how clip 1 is selected? If I touch the middle one, look at that. See, it selected it for me. This is a big help when it comes to making these templates. So I'm going to choose clip 1, and then I'm going to choose my image. First I click on it to bring it forward, then I drag it in. Now look, it came in directly above that placeholder. That's exactly where I need it, because the next step is Layer, Create Clipping Mask, Alt-Control-G. And what it does, see what happened? It clips it to that placeholder so it's only visible where the placeholder is. It puts it in that little box. Well, obviously it's too big, so Control-T to transform, and then I'll just size it down and position it. And even though this is a horizontal shot, it'll fit just right in there. I just make it look good, just like that. So then let's click on the next layer. I clicked on number 3. I drag this image in. I clip it. Control-T to transform, and I'll size this one down. That actually looks pretty good right there. Then I click on the next layer. Well, let's do this on purpose and forget to click on it. I'm going to drag my image in. Ooh, see, it's on top of that image. It's not on top of this block where I want it. So if you forget to choose your placeholder first, no need to panic. You don't have to do anything crazy. Look over here in the layer palette. See, it's this one, clip 1. All you have to do is drag your image up to right above clip 1. Then you can clip it, which is layer, create clipping mask right there. I already clipped it, so there we go. Control T to transform, and we'll size that down. Reposition. Okay, I would say that looks pretty good. So I'm really happy with this. I just need to add some layer styles to these. I think black would look really nice. So I'm going to choose one of these. Now you don't want to put the layer style on the image. You want to put it on the placeholder. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to choose stroke, and we're going to choose a wider stroke. I don't want it around the outside though. I'm going to choose the inside. That looks pretty good. And maybe do a little bit of an inner shadow. Okay, so there I have my layer style on that one. I want to copy it to the other placeholder, so I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag my FX, so all 3 of the placeholders have the style on it. So there you go. Wasn't that easy? I could have made this any shape I wanted. It just fits exactly where I need it. So let's do a couple other layouts here. Now some of these actions do varied sizes of the blocks, and I'll show you how these work. So I've got 3 images here. We've got a nice full face, we got a partial face there, and then a farther away image. I would like this to be a panoramic kind of composite, like a 10 by 20. So I'm going to choose File, New, and we'll do a 10 by 20, just like that. And of course I want to have probably an inch border on a 10 by 20. I think an inch away, or maybe 3/4 of an inch away from all the edges would look really nice. And I might just pick a nice color from her hair and fill that background. That works. So now I want to put those 3 images in, but I don't want 3 exactly the same. We got horizontals, verticals, everything. So let's take a look at our divisions. I'm going to choose 1/4 inch between them. And here's what I want to do. 3 horizontal. See this? 25, 30, 45. That's 45%, 25%, 30%. So it's graduated. Let's try that. So I'm going to make my selection of the area I want to fill, make a blank layer, and then fill it with a color. Keep the marching ants going, and then I'm going to play this 3 horizontal, 20, 25, 30, 45. Look at that. See? 25%, 30%, 45%. So this actually works really nice. I'm going to use the Move tool and click on this big one. I'm going to choose this image in, and we're going to put that in that placeholder. Let's make it a little bit smaller so we can see more of her. And then let's use this skinny one for this image. That's cute. And then we'll use this center image for this. And definitely size this one down. That looks awesome. I'm just going to go over to here to my styles, and we'll just choose a virtual matte style. There we go. That was really fast. And what a great layout it is. These are super useful. Okay, so here's some of my designs that we've done. Let's take a look at these. This one is the 4x4 quad, 2 across, 2 down, and I made the original square right here. And then I just took the one placeholder and I transformed it and I stretched it out up to here. And you can see it's like 3/4 of an inch border all the way around. But that just gave me a unique design, and I added a little bit of brush detail. And so that, you can always modify these. Here's the classic 2x2 square. And I love this. This is actually a layout that is 60/40, and I'll show you this one here in a minute and how you can use it. This makes real nice verticals and 3 squares, or if you do it horizontally, it's 3 nice horizontals with squares. So this one right here, I started off with a square and I put this image in the background, feathered off the bottom, and I wanted an L with 4 by 4. So basically I did the 4 across, 4 down, which makes 16 of them, and then I threw away the ones I needed. So I'll show you how this works. I'm not going to populate all these because you already know how to do a clipping mask. Okay, so let me show you how to do this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these little images that we added to the top, throw them away, and so we basically have this nice soft image as the background, and I want to do the border of the small images. So what we have is 3/4 of an inch all the way around. So I'm going to make the selection of the area that I want to fill. I'm going to use the little L and make my blank layer, of course, and fill it with a color. And then I'm going to go to my actions, and we want 4 across and 4 down. So here we go. And these are 1/4 inch, which is probably just about right. 4 across and 4 down. That's the one, and I'm going to hit play. Now this is going to actually make 16 different layouts. There you go. Wow, 1/4 inch is too fat, huh? I'm not crazy about that. So let me just take all those and throw them away. Let's do that one more time. And this time let's do 1/8 of an inch. Open up the 1/8 inch, 4 across and 4 down right there, and we'll play that. But make sure you have your blank layer. You've made your selection and you filled it with a color. Then you can play it. Okay, that looks better. So now I'm just going to throw away the ones that I don't need. And rather than go find them here in the rows and all that, it's easiest to use Auto Select Layer, click on the layer that you don't want, and hit delete. Click, delete, click, delete, click, delete, click, delete, click, delete. So that's how you get the nice L, and we can populate all those. And you guys know how to do that already. So you can manufacture any kind of design you want. You can actually even do a customized look. Let's go back. Let's go back in our history before we deleted all these. And how about we'll just delete the corner, the middle ones. You could easily do something like this and just have the design around the edges and then have a different image in there in the center. Anything is possible. You can also take these and throw them away and have 2 strips. Anything's possible. Okay, so back to our samples. We already showed you this one. That turned out really nice. And we showed you this one. This one's a great one for a wedding page. All the different little designs here, all the details and decorations and stuff. This is 25 little vignettes from the details of a wedding. Isn't that beautiful? Great way to do a page and very easy. And this is a classic album page where you've got an image that fades off and then a little grouping off to the side. So there's a couple more things that I would like to show you. We talked about this image. This is really simple with these images. We've got 3 verticals and we've got 3 sort of rectangles. These are almost looking square, but it depends on how big your original selection is. Let's take a look at how we can do this one. I'm going to go back to Photoshop and I'm going to do File New, and let's just start off with a 10 by 10. I'm going to pull my guides over 1/2 inch from all the edges. I'm holding Shift, by the way, so these snap to the guides where they're supposed to. Then make my blank layer, make my selection. And by the way, the shortcut to fill with black is if you hit D for default colors and X to put black on the background, Control Backspace or Command Delete on a Mac is how to fill with the background color. So if you do that a lot, it's worth it to learn that shortcut. Command Delete for a Mac or Control Backspace. So now, if I take that particular one, let's go to our 1/8 inch, and we do this right here. 2 across, 3 down, 60/40. Oh no, actually we need 3 across and 2 down, 60/40. We'll play that one. And this is the layout that we did with the little black and whites of the little baby. So if you want this to be like this, you can do it as a square. But what if we have, say, a horizontal? This time let's open up a 12 by 18. Actually, let's make it a horizontal, 12 by 18. And let's see what this looks like. we got our 1/2 inch. Actually, on a one this size, we should do 3/4 of an inch from the edges. Don't forget to hold shift when you're pulling your guides. Then I'm going to select this same space again, make my layer, fill with background color, and we'll go to our actions. And that's 3 across, 2 down, 60/40. Okay, totally different look, isn't it? It's the same shape, same arrangement. It's the same arrangement and the same 1/8 of an inch in between, but because this is more square, we've got real tall verticals and in medium verticals. And here we have more like 8:10 ratio, about the same as those actually, and then we have horizontals. Now, if you're tempted to take this and go, oh, that's kind of what I wanted, but I wanted them a little bit smaller or a little more horizontal, you can select all those and transform them. The only downside to that is look at my spaces. See, I've got, this is still an 1/8 of an inch, but all 3 of these spaces are now really skinny. So that's kind of the downside to doing that. If you transform all of those together, if you make them skinnier or make them taller, see how my spaces don't line up anymore? It's probably best to make the new shape that you want and then play the action again. Now, if you were to take one of these and modify, you could easily click on a layer. You could easily click on a layer and transform. Let's say you want to put somebody's name in here, or you want a couple more verticals, and you want different shapes in. You could certainly do that. Let's say you need a really long vertical or long horizontal here. You just want to zoom in a little bit so you have a little bit more control and get your borders exactly accurate. So it's customizable, but if you do all of them at one time and squish them, your borders might end up being different. So that's just something that you should be aware of. There is one more little trick that's kind of handy and you should know about. I'm just going to throw away a couple of these layers and show you one. It's called keyline, and it's kind of a separate action all by itself, and it's designed to, let's say we have this layout and we have one placeholder here, and we want it to be have a keyline. Okay, so we've got a background and we have our image here. Let's just make this a little bit bigger right there. Let's say we want a little keyline there. In every one of these action folders, except for the 2 pixel distance, is the keyline. So if I hit that and I play it, now of course you want to be on your layer and you want to have marching ants around it. If you forgot and you deselected, the easiest way to get those marching ants again is hold the Control or Command key, click on the thumbnail of that layer, and it'll put marching ants around it again. Then you can hit play, and this is what you get. I'll just deselect here. We have a placeholder, and then we have an 1/8 of an inch distance and a little key line. So that layer is actually gray, but it's transparent and there's a little black key line around it. They are linked though, so whenever you move this around, they go together, which is awesome. Now if you don't want it to be clear there, you can turn the fill back up and then you have gray, which you could of course change to any color you want, but it's transparent because the fill is turned down to 0. Now the opacity would turn down the stroke, so if you want a gray stroke, you can turn down the opacity and see how I have a little fine gray key line. But it's the fill that makes the middle gray part transparent. So that's a great idea. It'll do one placeholder at a time to add the little key line on there. It is also helpful and faster to take your placeholders and add your layer styles before you populate them, just because it's a little bit easier. Although sometimes you kind of need to put the pictures in first to decide what kind of placeholder edge you want on it, as far as a stroke or a bevel or whatever. So have a great time with this product and create lots of storyboards that your customers will love. And of course, if you ever get stuck or something's not working, we always offer support. You can email Suzette at SuzetteAllen.com, or you can also call us. Thank you so much.